left. The temple in man, or the temple of Luxor, is the proof that they accomplished this. Oh. Pull up a chair. But on this picture, anytime you see these horns, you know that's Hathor. No matter where you see it, that represents the goddess Hathor. The disc in the center is the moon. In this picture, later becomes the disc of the sun when you get to solar time.
Yeah, they talk about the disc a lot.
But notice, even on this rendering, you have Hathor in the background, the cow. Who's sitting in the foreground? Horus. This other rendering really is Hathor, but they're in the papyrus reeds. So where does that link you back to?
Moses ever left in the river, in the most of reeds or whatever.
Now you're going the wrong direction, but that's true. You went forward. I want you to go backwards and tell me, where do these papyrus reeds come into the picture?
Africa, way back.
Thank you. That's where you started.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that you knew about, is the land of the papyrus is where mankind originates. So you can see they're bringing the old stuff forward. They're just building a little more on top of it. On the next page. Oh, okay. You have this statue, and this is Horus. Can you see on the side of his hair that thing of there's a curl lock going down the side of his face?
That's where the Jews
got
there.
That's where the Orthodox Jews have that today. The problem is you only use the lock as a child. That's a symbol of being a child. So as an adult, these Jews running around New York as grown men with this lock, they don't even know what it means, because this is not such, you would remove that as a man of 30. That's a symbol of being the youth.
Yes. It's like the baby hair.
Exactly.
It was supposed to be like a baby.
Exactly.
When did Jesus start his ministry?
At 33.
At 30.
Almost 36 came out.
Yeah, you can see it. He's 12 and again at 30. So the question should come, how come you got such a gap? I mean, your life doesn't go from 12 to 30. Everybody, there's 18 years in there. What happened?
He had to become a man, and for his Christ is concerned, didn't he?
Exactly. So you can't start teaching until you go to school. That's the years that he's in the temple learning his craft. Exactly. But see, when you talk about this in terms of the Bible, you can't answer that question. Is Jesus is 12, next thing he's 30, what happened? I don't know.
Well, for me, I just assumed that was a period of learning, like it is for our young people. I mean, it should be a period of learning.
That's why you're not allowed to speak until you're 30. As a child, you really are not in the position to give your opinion.
But our children, are they really in the stage, clarify what you mean by learning? They were actually in temples.
Yeah, I mean,
They
then,
were trained by priests.
right. Well, you don't have that today, but that's what I mean. The concept of learning is still learning. So, however you put it. And so he was in the process of learning what he was to become.
And today in the church, it's a little, I would do a little different. If you notice, youth, who teaches youth? In most churches, another young person teaches young people.
Youth ministry, the youth ministry.
Oh, yeah,
That's
you
about
get
as
past
backwards as you can get.
It's almost as backwards as our education system. You take the least,
A novice training
the
a
people
novice.
who did the worst in college, and you make them the teachers of your children, and you take the top percent and you put them in corporate America. The Japanese do just the opposite. The people that are the top 5%, they become the educators of the children. The reason I'm over here in this other book for a minute is that we're getting ready to talk about this Moses guy, so we need to get some facts straight.
Use your, what's the thing you always say, Phil? Those who do, and those who don't teach.
Those who know
Yeah.
do, those who don't teach. Here's a little thing that they said about Brother Moses, that he's educated in the temple of On in the city of Heliopolis, so he's in the Egyptian temples getting his so-called training. Notice the picture, I don't know if how well you can see it, but he has the crown of Lower Egypt, which would be the Pope's hat today, okay? Because they're talking about the constellation. Over here, where they say this thing started, what constellation is this starting in?
Are we in lunar?
Lunar is not a constellation.
I mean, I don't mean stars. You're talking stars, okay. I don't know. I don't really talk about stars.
If you're going to be born of a virgin, what constellation would
Virgo.
that? Thank you.
What'd you say?
Virgo.
Yeah, I mentioned Virgo in here. Did mention that.
That's where they're getting their starting point, okay? So they move from one deity. See, the reason, again, keep in mind,
It's part of the 12, a new age.
thank you. We're in a new age. That's why you have this new concept.
Right.
And that's why you hear people today in, some white circles, not too many of ours, but you hear people talking about new age stuff because they know we're dawning a new age. Just had the picture if you know what that. So if this starts out in, the age of Virgo, it would make sense because I just had this picture.
Yeah.
Virgo. Okay? The Virgin. So anything that's born in that age would be born of a virgin. That would be true. Make sense now?
I have a question relative to Moses and the time frame. Moses being in Egypt, because it is proposed that the time Moses was supposed to be,
What stage are we in?
I think the time he was supposed to be in
1200 to 1300 BC-ish.
does not match
Us,
up
this generation.
with the supposedly Pharaoh
That's
who
correct.
was in power at the time.
That is very true.
How do we reconcile that?
Well, see, that's why if you just tell history and you don't date any events, you can get away with anything. That's why even at the African school that we're doing work at, the first thing we said at the meeting is you got to start with the origin of man. We can't jump into history and be somewhere without explaining how we got there. Well, in religions, you never ask those questions. How did we get this? Where did it come from? Except for what you're doing right now. This came from somewhere. How did we get this? Well, now it makes sense. As you can see, they're evolving this and all the pieces that later become your Christianity, you're starting to see them falling into place. So it makes sense. But the way they sell you the story from Adam and Eve, that you have to be dumb and crazy to go for that one. Are you serious? 6,000 years ago, God put two white people in a garden in Africa. And then he tricked out the lady with a snake. What did the snake do? But here's the thing that's even worse. God supposedly is all knowing, all seeing, right?
Right.
Then God surely would know that Eve was going to mess up before he made this. So how the hell you going to hold me responsible for something you made and knew it was going to be broken when you gave it to me? And now everybody after her is catching hell.
It kind of goes
This is a
back
just God?
to the story of
What, that sounds like some black justice in America. It don't sound like no real justice.
Did y'all see the thing that the comedian had on that little video?
That little video.
He said the biggest BS story ever told. He said, and at the end he says, and he loves you.
You see what I'm
Some may have
saying?
been offended about that, but I got the humor out of what
I
he's
got the
saying.
humor out of it.
You're going through all of this,
Yeah.
going to hell, boop, up, boop, boop, and then at the end.
But on top of that, how did black people get cursed? What do we do? You looking in at a dude who's drunk, okay? Your dad is drunk. And you pull his coat like, hey, that Pops, this ain't too cool, man. You get your act together, okay? Now, not only did you curse me, but you curse everybody that looks like me on the planet. Because I caught you drunk. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
See, at that point is when in the Adventist church, I started asking for when the plate went by, I started getting some of my money back.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, this don't make no sense.
Yeah, and that's like the Mormons, don't they have like they say the mark of Cain is what we allegedly have, and then they just.
But it gets worse.
Yeah, it's
Who's the guy that started the Mormon church?
John Smith.
Joe Smith. Okay. Now he claimed that Jesus came down in Salt Lake City and gave him the
And
rules.
gonna come back.
Now, in the book that at least the church I went to, they said when Jesus comes back, everybody's gonna see it, everybody's gonna hear it. There'll be, okay, the blind's gonna know.
Right.
How did Jesus get to Salt Lake City, Utah,
In the wilderness,
talking to this white guy? And nobody saw it. As knows his people in America are, nobody saw this event.
Sounds like a
Huh?
hallucination.
And you got plates and things to prove it, or a book or whatever.
Egyptian jakes and all that kind of, but they've been supposedly lost again or something.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
lost.
Hey,
Exactly.
Christianity, you can't judge, man.
Okay.
Come on.
Exactly.
Okay, so at the bottom of 200, on 200 we have the
They got
paragraph,
talking
horse of the
sticks.
dual power of the stellar called Imagine as Hasu Tahuti, the twice great.
But I
See
had
up
some
the very-
questions before you got
Where
to
you at,
200.
197?
Okay,
Yeah, 197. What's that 197?
okay.
Oh, yeah, at the bottom where it says, another type of goddess Hathor as a form or image of the earth mother was as the mistress of the mind, precious stones and nose called.
Yeah.
It was under this type that she gave birth to the blue-eyed golden horse as her child, her golden calf or hawk of gold. Horus was the hawk standing on the column within the necklace and stone. And so that's Horus standing in front of that golden bull in that picture that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The sacred heifer was zootype of the Virgin Mother in this cult. So they're talking about the Virgin Mother. That's not where I was. I had a bunch of stuff highlighted. Always behind these pictures you have. But they keep talking about the Virgin Mother.
Okay, virgin meaning it's born in
In
Virgo.
Okay.
So everything there is virgin,
Yeah.
okay?
Gotcha.
Because of the constellation you're operating in.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between that and immaculate conception? I know that's Catholicism.
Well, I mean, you want to know where they got the story from?
No, I know.
Are you,
Anyway, what is taught through Dr. Ben and Dr. Ben and Dr. Park is that in African culture, a child that is born where the parents have been true to each other, and there's no other man that has been involved in that, is equivalent to an immaculate conception.
Okay, let me kind of fix that because Dr. Clark really ain't in that, but that is Dr. Ben's.
analogy?
Yeah. Now, and I love Dr. Ben, but you have to understand who he was in real life. Dr. Ben had 13 kids by
He was a
5 different
womanizer,
wives.
A womanizer.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
womanized.